Hey guys, this is Rob. Today in this video, I'm just going to go over and kind of explain what a default is and how we want to use that to kind of like carry the bulk of our rounds so that we don't have to rely necessarily on a set strategy to win us every single round, and how this kind of I think a lot of us understand like what a default is, but I think a key thing that a lot of people miss is how they work and how, as an IGL, to call them and communicate to your players what you want. So I'm going to go through a couple rounds here in Skybox from our last main match of the season. You can see here we're down 13-11 on T side. So this is like the end of our game, right? And we're gonna rely heavily on these defaults to open up these rounds. So the first key thing here is that I think a lot of times people don't use utility. Oh, I can actually go team here. So you can see that we're gonna throw two mid smokes here. And this is going to be we call this like a mid default in our playbook, is what I'd call the beginning of the round. So we're going to see our B guy he might have made just like a footstep or two here towards B. You can see he actually probably did because it drew a Molotov here. And that's just more like presence than anything. And then we can see with these two mid smokes, the window guy is going to be pushed back and the cat guy isn't going to aggress here. He's just going to be holding for a swing. And we're going to focus. So if I zoom in here to me in the mid, I'm just going to be focusing towards connector here. And so what I'm talking about with my teammates, I've got Penguins here in the underpass, and then myself, Devils holding if they run through the cat smoke. And we can see that Knack, well, maybe probably should be a little bit farther up, is watching like window and is probably more of like a support here. But that during a round like this, our intent is that I'm calling at the beginning of the round is for us to end over here at the A-bomb site. So we can see Mild is up in the palace here. And the second that this kill comes in here in connector, we can see that the attention of our A player has turned, since he has like ramp smoked off, his attention is turned to mid, where obviously like it should be, there's four of us there. But that this is going to give Mild here a really easy kill onto him as he just swings out, and he's going to find that A player, and this is just going to be our A bomb site open now. And you know, we threw a top con smoke here to like gain the control, but once like we hear that Mild is out on A, this is just an easy run right through this smoke, get up connector. Mild's going to take CT and get control of that. But that the key thing is to talk about like here as an IGL, right? Like I think anyone's able to like mid-round calling is probably a totally different video, but it's more that at the beginning of this round, when we're back at this point here in spawn, I'm saying, okay, we're doing the mid default, and our goal is to like pressure connector, right? Like we're saying that this is like the pivot point of our round, and that finding that kill early, right? If this kill doesn't come in right here, you can see that, you know, the A player, before that kill is coming in, he's looking at ramp, he's jiggling between ramp and palace. He actually surprisingly never even looks at palace, which is pretty nuts. I'm not sure if he thought that like his window guy was holding that for him. But that, you know, typically this A player is a pretty like he's checking these two angles and trusting that mid is covered, and that and normally we would expect when this smoke comes in that this guy would go to here and would be watching like palace. But if we're able to find these kills early in connector, then that's going to draw the attention of everyone. And that we can also see that like our players here are all grouped. You can see that I think Knack runs back around to pick up the bomb. Yeah, he goes and gets the bomb. And eventually they're going to clutch this out in a 2v2, which really, as an IGL, this is like your goal, right? From a round. If we can get our guys into these 2v2s, 3v3s, you've done your job, and it's up to like the team as a whole, as individuals almost, to mid-round call their way through like these scenarios, right? We're into a post plant 2v2. This is something that they should be able to get done quite easily. We set up a little crossfire. And Knack, as always, just aggressively swings everything he possibly can. And he gets the info. Devil kind of left him alone there. We were kind of screaming at him because he was playing a default. But he gets the round done. And we move on to the next round, which is 26. So here in 26, we're going to do an A default. Now this is, we're going to see that we have 2 mid. We still have the 1 guy going B, but he's going to roll underpass. And then we have 2 towards A. So this is much more heavily focused into, whereas before I was saying, okay, we're just going to flip the connector guy. Here it's like much more of a laid back default. That's even more individually, like we can see we're only going to throw a window smoke, but Knack is actually going to find this kill surprisingly on the op from mid, which is honestly like really lucky. And then we're going to see Miles is going to find the guy trying to regress to get more info in Palace here. And that's going to be like pretty quick cleanup after this. We have all the information. Penguins here probably on the B side doesn't need to be pushing through that smoke. But if anything, him making the noise here is now going to lock those guys there. I don't actually know where we end. Oh, we do end A. So now we can see everyone's grouping now. So we can see Knack and I group mid. Penguins comes to group mid. Mild is leaving Palace and he's coming to group ramp with Devil here, which is, I think, a really key part about making your defaults work is that so like here, we're in the 3v5, right? And something that we've talked about a lot this season is that, so no one here on the map is in like a trade position with someone else, right? So everyone's alone. And so it's key that we then take a deep breath, regroup together. So you can see that we then swing this connector guy here. And everyone's here together to be able to find this trade. And then same thing for the guys coming out ramp. We can see Deist gets aggressive. And, you know, we're still winning our, like, duels. But that Mild is here to trade if need be. And the B guy's stuck over here on the B site. Next thing here, this is going to be, if I remember right, this is going to be, well, we call this our ghost. This is like a really key thing for an anti-eco, which I'll make another video about later. But this can also work against like a very aggressive team that you can set up on any map. So this is a default where we're just holding for pushes. So we can see over here, I'm holding the B run through from behind the TV. And then Knack and Devil here are holding. If the guy pushes down mid, we don't want him to like be able to swing here and like jiggle this corner, see someone, and then run away, right? We want to bait him to like walk down into this. And same thing over here at A, where we can see that if someone pushes ramp, they don't get info that we aren't there, or at least they think we aren't. And if like they were to push here and see one guy posted here and one guy posted here, they're going to now have a lot more info saying, okay, there's 2 at A, right? And we're not drawing we're drawing a rotate maybe like towards the A bomb site, which we don't really want here. We more want to create like confusion of like mystery, right? And if the guy then says, okay, I'm going to go look for more, he's going to walk into a place where he has no ability to retreat, because Penguin is going to make this contact, and Mild is able to come and he can like swing up here if the guy tries to run away. And this also comes into like where in the default we like here is a default that we don't have a goal, right? I'm not saying at the beginning of the round where we want to go. I'm just saying, you know, let's just chill, feel out the round. And you're gonna see that I call, because we don't find anything, we typically go until about a minute. Here I go a little bit early. I say I'm gonna go pro B, which I'm hoping with like some utility. If, you know, let's say there were like 2 guys here, I could pull the window player, and then we're gonna run a execute. But you can see that so everyone's gonna group over here towards A, and they're gonna start setting up their smokes. And you see I get out B, and this is what like a probe here can be really good with, especially against an anti-eco, which once again is like another video. But then you can see from our mid-round calls, I go, okay, hey guys, like B's open. We throw a little bit of fake, some random smokes everywhere. and now, you know, they're stuck. And we go and clean up the round. So that's like a default with no goal in mind and how we need to work our way through a round like that. Let's see. This round we're going to do the same thing. And this is like kind of a downside of this idea here, because we go back into the A execute and you can see that one guy, he didn't fall for our trap. He walked up to top mid, but he didn't make his way all the way down, which is kind of a downside of that setup, because you can see that he mercs me there, and then we still run with the execute, and we should have won this round, but we missed a couple shots here in the 4v3, which is a bummer. The last one that I want to talk about is this round here. So this is round 29, and this is our B default. So we're going to see similar things as our A default. So the key thing is that we're using like the same window smoke and same kind of utility so that our default isn't readable, right? So every single time we've thrown this window smoke and we've said, hey, like we're going to take control, you can see that now, because we've caused so much confusion around mid and around the bomb sites, they only have one guy holding mid and he's now smoked off, and that there's two guys, these two guys are just holding A and they're not moving, and the two guys are holding B and they're not moving. They're playing a really passive setup. They're like, let's just give them mid, which is great for us, right? Because it's going to mean that we get a lot of info here as Penguins is going to walk up into the connector, and he's going to have a ton of info now about what's going on, which is going to allow us to then mid-round call our way into this and say, okay, guys, we're splitting up A. Get ready to go to A. We can see that a little bit of fake utility is thrown over here at the B site. And then if I come in here to A, we'll be able to break this down a bit more. Penguins is going to hit just like a nutty 180 here onto that guy. And then Devil's going to come in and trade. We have the A bomb site. And this is set up from us creating confusion around what it is. And once again, this was a B default. So the goal here at the beginning of the round, if you look back here, this is like our setup, right? So I'm holding Cat, Penguins is lurking lower, Knack is holding B, and Devil is holding window. It's smoked right now, so he's probably going to end up a connector. And Mild is waiting for the push A, which is like probably going to be a pretty good counter since we've gone A quite a bit, and that their A players are going to be starting to want to like probe and look for stuff, right? But that the goal in mind here is that we have like 3 strats that we can run off of this if we don't find anything. And those all involve Mild running back. Running back to here. And then us splitting up, Devil and I splitting up Cat. Or like somehow making our way to the B bomb site. So this is like a pretty good example that if we call a default and we lock our players into the idea, like what I talked about in your style in the first video, where we say, okay, like we're going to go to this and then we have to go do this. We may like not find these rounds where our individual players are, we like here Penguins wouldn't have had the freedom to make this play if we were in a very rigid style of calling. But because we're loose and we say, okay, this is a default where our goal is B, but that, you know, we're not holding Penguins down to say that he has to go do that. And that here in this round, he wins us the round by just walking his way up connector and going, hey guys, I'm like in jungle, right? And then that's going to be able to draw, as I mid-round call here from mid, I say, okay, like, you know, Knack fake B, Mild rotate around, get bomb, we're going to split the A bomb site, and then you can see it just opens wide open here, and we're going to win this round, and then that's going to lead to us winning the game going into the final round. So I hope that video, this was like a little bit longer than I thought, but I hope this kind of helps you understand how these defaults should play out and some things to avoid where we don't want to like I was talking in the first video, we don't want to lock our players in. We want to give them freedom, but kind of like on a leash, right? We want to give them like, we don't want to let them just free roam and get picked off one by one, but instead give them some like slight, you know, bumpers, like on a bowling lane bumpers, you know, to help them guide them to a site, but don't lock them in and say, okay, you can like jump ship and go to the other site if you think that'll open up better. So yeah, I hope that helps. Yeah,